Karam Sanyas Yoga. Okay. English translation in this book, it says path of renunciation. Again, that is not really a correct translation of Karam Sanyas. So it's, you don't renounce an action. You renounce the doership of the action, like you are doing it. And you will see why I'm saying that when we read this chapter. So this chapter starts with Arjun's comment question. He says, "O Krishna, you praise the path of transcendental knowledge." That means the higher knowledge. And also the path of selfless service, Karam Yoga. Tell me definitely which one is the better of the two paths. Okay, so it's almost like a Gyan Yoga or a Karam Yoga. Which one is better, he says. Lord Krishna says, the path of self-knowledge and the path of selfless service both lead to the supreme goal. But of the two, the path of selfless service is superior to path of self-knowledge because it's easier to practice for most people. A person should be considered a true renunciant who has neither attachment nor aversion for anything. One is easily liberated from karmic bondage by becoming free from attachment and aversion. The ignorant, not the wise, consider the path of self-knowledge and the path of selfless service, Karam Yoga, as different from each other. The person who has truly mastered one gets the benefit of both. So in other words, you cannot be a jnani or a renunciant, as he says, unless you are a Karam Yogi. So selflessness has to be part of your personality in order to become a true yogi. Whatever goal a renunciant reaches, a Karam Yogi also reaches the same goal. Therefore, one who sees the path of renunciation and the path of unselfish work as the same really sees. But true renunciation, the renunciation of doership and ownership, like I don't own anything and I'm not doing anything, even though you're doing it, but I'm not doing it. Oh, Arjun is difficult to attain without Karam Yoga. A sage equipped with Karam Yoga quickly attains nirvana. So in other words, he's saying that Karam Yoga is a step towards attaining that higher stage, which is called a Karam Sanyas, Karam Yoga. And you remember for the last 2 weeks, I've been telling you, in order to be a Karam Yogi, you got to do your duty. You have to do it skillfully. You got to do it lovingly. And you got to do it selflessly. Only then you become a Karam Yogi. So you have to have these qualities in order to become a Jnani or a Karam Sannyasi. Okay? A Karam Yogi whose mind is pure, whose mind and senses are under control, and who sees one and the same spirit in all beings is not bound by karma, though engaged in work. So a person is doing what needs to be done. Right now, Arjun is sitting in the middle of that war. So that was his duty to do. How can he keep his mind pure? Senses under control. Sees one and the same spirit in all beings. He says, you won't be bound by karma if you can keep your mind like that. The wise who know the truth think, I do nothing at all. In seeing, hearing, touching, smelling, eating, walking, sleeping, breathing, speaking, giving, taking, as well as opening and closing the eyes. The wise believe that only the senses are operating upon their objects. So this is a very higher level of achievement. It's like an identification with the soul. And soul doesn't do any of these according to this philosophy. As he says, the senses are operating upon their objects. So body is functioning. Atma is not. And I am the Atma. From that standpoint of. But in order to reach here, what do we need to do? Become a Karam yogi first. So that's why he said, Karam yogi, you got to become. That's a first stage. In order to climb up, we got to pass the lower stages. In order to do the PhD, we better have a high school diploma and an undergrad and a graduation. Then we'll get a higher degree. So Karam Sanyas is the highest degree where you start identifying yourself with the Atma alone. One who does all work as an offering to God, abandoning attachment to results, remains untouched by karmic reaction or sin, just as a lotus leaf never gets wet by water. In the yogic scriptures, we always see this analogy. Just like a lotus plant and lotus flower is in the water, when the water goes down, that stem of that lotus flower goes down too. If it comes up, it rises up. It never gets drowned in the water. The yogi guru says, live in this world just like a lotus flower does. And another beauty of lotus is everything in the lotus plant gets used. It's not just only the flower which gives the fragrance and the beauty, but the stem is also food, roots are food, seeds are food. In fact, this morning I ate lotus seeds roasted. And I'm sure the people who are from India, you know that. Full makhane, right? Everything in the lotus is used. So that's how a yogi's life is too. Benefit others. Do the actions for the help of others. Okay? So let me read this again. One who does all work as an offering to God. So this is the one practice we need to do. More and more, think that you are doing it for God. Whether you are taking care of your children, whether you are taking care of your body. At night also when you sleep, you think that I need to take rest because in the morning I want to get up and be a good servant to God. So every action, if you want to take care of your body also, just do this so that I can be a better help to my family members also, to the society also. I don't want to become a burden on somebody. I want to live a life where I can help somebody. And in somebody see the God. Okay? So one who does all work as an offering to God, abandoning attachment to results. That doesn't mean that if the result comes, you throw it away. Your boss gives you the paycheck. I don't want it. I'm not attached to the result. No. While doing the action, don't think that I'm going to do the action because of the result. I'm doing the action because I'm supposed to do the action. When result comes, take it as a prasad. Okay, so just like we just offer some food to God, and then what do? Part of it, we eat. So always think that what you are getting, it's a prasad. That's how I saw my own Guruji, my father doing. I don't know whether you know it or not. He was a head of the university. And back then they used to get a paycheck, cash, back then, I mean, long time ago. Cash every month. And I saw as a little girl, he will bring that money, put it in the temple which we had. One room was a hall, was a temple in our house. He'll put it over there in front of God's picture. 10% he will take it out and send it to his guru. Rest would he'll leave it there. Use it, take it as was needed to take care of the family. So never thought that it was his. It was God's. He did work for the university, but he thought he was doing it for God. So whatever he got, he just gave it to God. He truly demonstrated a life like that. And that way there was never a lack. So that was the highest level of living, but we can at least bring some of those qualities in our life. So one who does all work as an offering to God, abandoning attachment to results, remains untouched by karmic reaction or sin, just as lotus leaf never gets wet by water. The Karam yogis, because he said that first you got to become a Karam yogi in order to become a Karam sannyasi. So that's why in this chapter also there are a lot of hints for us how to become a Karam yogi. The Karam yogis perform action without attachment with their body, mind, intellect, and senses, only for the purification of their mind and intellect. It's almost like if you have a dirty silver vase or silver glass and you want to wash it, clean it. How do we do it? We just put some kind of a chemical on it. You rub it and then wash it away. The same way we have impressions on our mind. Certain impressions we are born with. How do we wash those away? By doing the actions as a Karma yogi, and that way it gets washed away. So that's what he's saying. The Karma yogis perform action without attachment. Ordinary people perform the same actions but with attachment. So a Karam yogi performs action without attachment with their body, mind, intellect, and senses. So because we do Karam, we do actions with our body also, with our mind also, with our intellect also, with the senses also. But Karam yogi does it for the purification of the mind and the intellect. So goal is I want to purify my equipment. This is equipment given by God to the Atma. And we want to do the purification. A Karam yogi attains supreme peace by abandoning attachment to the fruits of work, while others who are attached to the fruits of work become bound by desire prompted work. Okay. This contrast is given again and again in Bhagavad Gita. If you are a Karam yogi, what will happen? If you are not a Karam yogi, what will happen? A person who has completely renounced the attachment to the fruits of all work from his or her mind dwells happily in the city of 9 gates, neither performing nor directing action. This body of ours, this is called a temple also. This is called a city also. This city has 7 gates, 7 openings, 2 eyes, 2 ears, 2 nose, nostrils, 6. 7th is the mouth, and then 2 down there. Okay. So 9 gated city. So that's why he said a person who has completely renounced the attachment to the fruits of all work from his or her mind. He did not say that that person doesn't do any work. Not doing it for the selfish fruit. Dwells happily in the city of 9 gates. That's where the happiness comes from. Neither performing nor directing action. The Lord neither creates the urge for action, nor the feeling of doership, nor the attachment to the results of action in people. Then who does? The powers of material nature do all these. And what is the material nature? Anything other than the soul is material. And what is anything other than the soul? This physical body, which is called a gross body. And then there is a subtle body, which is our mind, our intellect, our ego. So he says that creates it. Lord does not. Lord means who is the Lord of this body, of all these gates? Atma, the soul, that is the Lord. Okay? Atma. The Lord does not take responsibility for the good or evil deeds of anybody. The veil of ignorance covers self-knowledge. Thereby people become deluded and do evil deeds. Then me and mine comes from delusion. You start thinking that this is mine or I'm better than others. Me and mine is the culprit. He says it's a veil of ignorance. This is the ignorance which is covering our knowledge. Transcendental knowledge destroys the ignorance of the self and reveals the Supreme Being, just as the sun reveals the beauty of objects of the world. In darkness, we don't see. Sun comes and we can see everything. The same way, he says that the ignorance of the self has kept everything hidden from us. And that's why we need to study and contemplate. Persons whose mind and intellect are totally merged in the eternal being. See, that's what we do when we meditate. We want to merge into the divinity. Who are firmly devoted to the Supreme, who have God as their supreme goal and sole refuge, and whose impurities are destroyed by the knowledge of the self, do not take birth again. This is the goal of all of us. Whether we like it or not, we came from that divine, and ultimately, whether after this lifetime or after millions of lifetimes, that's where we're going to go back. So he says, this is how we do. Okay? Persons whose mind and intellect are totally merged in eternal being, who are firmly devoted to the Supreme, who have God as their supreme goal and sole refuge, whose impurities are destroyed by the knowledge of the self, do not take birth again. And what are the marks of this kind of a person? An enlightened person, because normally we call this person enlightened, self-realized, God-realized, wise. An enlightened person, by perceiving God in all, looks at a learned person, an outcast, even a cow, an elephant, or a dog with an equal eye. So that means this kind of a person is seeing only the divinity. But do we look at it? When we look at a person, we look at a gender, the height, the color, the name, where do they live, what kind of a job they do. But an enlightened person looks at that everybody is a soul. Okay? Everything has been accomplished in this very life by one whose mind is set in equality. Such a person has realized the Supreme Being because the Supreme Being is flawless and impartial. One who neither rejoices on obtaining what is pleasant, nor grieves on obtaining the unpleasant. Who has a steady mind, who is undeluded, who is a knower of the Supreme Being, such a person eternally abides with the Supreme Being. So focus is only on doing your duties, what you're supposed to do, seeing the divinity more and more, and that's where you reach there. Such a person who is in union with the Supreme Being becomes unattached to external sensual pleasures by discovering the joy of the self. Because the joy, this is the nature of the soul and the nature of God, because God and soul, no difference. The nature of that is joy. So that's why he says, discovering the joy of the self and enjoys transcendental bliss. Transcendental means it has transcended the physical realm. Normally we find the joy in getting something, going somewhere, eating something, meeting someone. But this person has transcended, so joyful no matter what. That doesn't mean that person will not eat. We'll see that person eating. We'll see that person having things. We'll see that person mingling with people. But even the person cannot have all that still joyful, because the real joy is coming from the eternal source of joy. Sensual pleasures are, in fact, the source of misery in the end, and have a beginning and an end. Therefore, the wise, O Arjun, do not rejoice in sensual pleasures, because they see either that object will end, or your likeness, like you are enjoying it, that will end. I mean, we have all seen that. If we have a box of chocolate, first piece is pretty good. If we keep on eating it, what happens? We don't find the same joy. Or next time, if we cannot have that, still we are sorrowful. So that's why he's saying sensual pleasures are in fact the source of misery in the end. One who is able to withstand the impulses of lust and anger, both before death, is a yogi and a happy person. So it's almost like a two enemies on the path of happiness or the bliss, lust and anger. In Sanskrit, this is called Kam and Krodh. Kam really means the material desires. Okay, sometimes when it's translated as lust, we think it's only sexual. No, it's a desire, any kind of a material desire. Kam. And Krodh is when we cannot have it, anger. So these two are main culprits on this path. One who finds happiness with the Supreme Being, who rejoices with the Supreme Being within, and who is illuminated by self-knowledge, such a yogi attains nirvana and goes to the Supreme Being. So instead of running after the material desires, this is in contrast to that, who finds happiness with the Supreme Being. And Supreme Being is right here, the soul. Seers whose sins are imperfections. See, sins are like this. Nobody else is judging you. It is the flaws in our own personality, according to this philosophy, are the sins. Seers whose sins are destroyed, whose doubts about the existence of the universal self have been dispelled by self-knowledge, whose minds are disciplined, and who are engaged in the welfare of all beings, attain the Supreme Being. So this is what we need to do. Flaws in our personality we have to destroy. Doubts we have to remove. How the doubts get removed? When we have more knowledge, doubts. That's why we go to the Guru. Guru is the one who is the dispeller of the doubts. Whose minds are disciplined. Our mind has to be disciplined. And in order to have a disciplined mind, our life has to be disciplined. And even in the worldly sense, if we want to have success, there has to be some discipline in our life. We tell our children to live a disciplined life. So whose minds are ultimately not just in the outer arena, in our mind also. The inner thoughts also, they got to be in our control. Some people, they just lose their mind. At any small thing, they just lose their mind. That's not a disciplined mind. So he says, flaws should be destroyed, doubts should be removed from the proper knowledge, minds should be well under control. And what do you do then? Engage yourself in the welfare of the society. Do the things where you can help others. And that's where the selflessness is. Okay, no matter what you are doing, always think that, am I hurting somebody or am I helping somebody? Wherever you can help somebody, do help. Then he says, those who are free from lust and anger, who have subdued the mind and senses, who have realized the existence of the self, easily attain nirvana. So again, he is repeating it, what he has said in the several verses before this. A sage is, in truth, liberated by renouncing all sense enjoyments, focusing the eyes and the mind between the eyebrows, equalizing the breath moving through the nostrils by using yogic techniques, keeping the senses, mind, and intellect under control, having salvation as the prime goal, and by becoming free from lust, anger, and fear. Last couple of verses of each chapter is the start of the next chapter. So in this verse, he's telling us what he's going to be talking about in the next chapter. How to become this level of a yogi. Because it's not that one day you're going to get up and you will become a Karam Sanyasi or even a Karam yogi. We got to make an effort. To get rid of the flaws also in our personality, it will take effort. We have to stay vigilant. In order to control our mind, it takes time. Every night, a little introspection. Did I lose my mind somewhere? And in order to put more knowledge also inside our intellect, it takes time, effort. But in this particular chapter, next chapter, which I'm talking about, this particular verse, he's talking about a daily discipline of meditation. A sage is, in truth, liberated by renouncing all sense enjoyments. So at least for that period of time, during meditation, don't keep on thinking the enjoyment. Focusing the eyes and the mind between the eyebrows, right over here. Equalizing the breath moving through the nostrils by yogic techniques. So focusing, breathing mindfully, that's how we start meditation. Keeping the senses, mind, and intellect under control. We don't want to wander away with the subtle personality of ours. Having salvation is the prime goal. Why are we doing it? Because we need freedom, ultimate freedom. And by becoming free from lust, anger, and fear. So now he has added a third thing in there, fear also. Because a lot of people, when they start meditating, they think they're going to lose something by meditating or by connecting with God. That fear we should not have. Let go of the fear also. So lust, anger, and fear. Then the last verse he says, one attains everlasting peace by knowing me. This is the assurance he is giving us. We are all looking for peace. Sometimes we think we are looking for happiness, but actually it's a peace. Shanti, which is called. One attains everlasting peace. It's not just a peace here and there. Everlasting peace by knowing me. This me is with a capital M. That's God. The Supreme Being. As the enjoyer of sacrifices. So that means no matter which action we do, doing it for God, that means that, see, even when you, ordinary things when we do, for somebody we love, we'll put more effort into it. Like tomorrow is Mother's Day, your children will be making things for you to make you happy. They'll put 100% into it, whether they make a card or whether they make a breakfast. But when we are doing actions to make God happy, we'll definitely do much better job. So that's why he said, as the enjoyer of the sacrifices, that I want my God to be happy with all my actions. And austerities, as the great Lord of the entire universe, and as the friend of all beings. So God is assuring us that I am a friend. You don't need to be afraid of me. This philosophy is not a fear-based. This philosophy is a love-based. Everywhere you see God is giving us. These are the words came out of Lord Krishna. He is saying that I love you. You don't have to be afraid. In fact, he says fear is one of the enemy. So our actions should not be motivated with fear, should be motivated with love. So one attains everlasting peace by knowing me, the Supreme Being, as the enjoyer of sacrifices and austerities. In austerity, purpose of austerities is also purification, more control, more disciplined life. That's what austerity is. Austerity is not to hurt yourself. Austerity is to purify yourself. In every faith, every religion, they talk about it. Some people do the fasting, some people do like a detachment from the things which they don't like, or even they like, they just don't want those. So austerities fall into different areas. We'll learn more about austerity in the following chapters also. As the great Lord of entire universe. See, Lord of this body is the soul. Okay, so that's why this is called Anu. Anu means a small. But this is a part of the Vibhu. Vibhu means the entire. So it's like this particular Anu is part of that complete whole. Okay, so this is a Lord of this body. He is the Lord of the
all bodies.
Universe or even beyond that. So that's why he says, and he is the friend of all beings. So it's a short chapter, one of the short chapters. So if you have any question, you can ask, we can have a dialogue. And the next chapter is about this meditation, which he talked about in the previous verse. And he will go over the detail. And you can see that these days meditation has become a buzzword. People do it also, they talk about it also, and they know the benefits at the physical level also. But we'll learn what Bhagavad Gita says about meditation. Why should we do meditation? How should we do meditation? Where should we do meditation? All the detail Lord Krishna is giving us. So meditation is not a new age thing. It's has been a part of every faith, at least the Vedic way of living. It has been part and parcel of it for thousands and thousands of years. So it looks like we have a question.
Kim.
Yes.
So a quick question and then a longer question. A quick question is, when you said Vibhu is big, is that the same word root as Vibhuti Yoga, chapter 10 title? Is it the same Vibhu?
Yeah, you can say it's like a root word is the same. Vibhuti means the powers. Vibhu is the owner of all those powers. So
Okay.
to God, another name for God is Vibhu.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
in the Upanishads, they talk about Anu and Vibhu. So they say Anu is a Atma, the soul. Vibhu is the Lord. Okay, what is the longer question?
So it's interesting because I always thought that selfless service means you have to do charity work. But I think, I mean, am I understanding correctly that, you know, karma yoga just means you can just do your normal duties, but it's how you do it, right? If you do it selflessly.
Exactly. It is the intention behind the action which makes a Karam yoga. Okay. Why am I doing it? A great surgeon can work as a surgeon, as a yogi, or can do it just for himself, arrogantly also. So
Right.
any action, it doesn't have to be just only become a priest or a yoga teacher. Sometimes a person could be a great yoga teacher, great orator, but doing it only for their own name and fame. They are not yogis then.
Yeah.
And there could be a person cleaning the floor in the mall can be a great yogi. Right?
Yes.
So it all depends what is in the person's mind.
Right. Right.
Okay, so that's why they say the intentions behind the actions really count. Okay, not the work itself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, there was a great, let me tell you a little story here. And this is from the scriptures. Great, there was a rishi, not a yogi yet, a rishi who did a lot of austerities. Because when you do the austerities, the powers come. So he was sitting in the jungles, meditating. Powers came. Sitting under a tree, a bird up there dropped something on him. Little dropping from the bird. He looked at the bird and bird burnt into ashes. And he said, my God, I have attained powers. He became very arrogant. That with my eyes, I opened my eyes and I can burn a bird. Great powers. And he was out of his dhyana, felt hunger. There was a village close by. He goes to the village. And these sages, they are supposed to go to only one house a day to beg for food. So that is like a tradition. So he goes to this first house. He knocks at the door. The lady did not come. He knocked again. The lady said, I will come. Give me a few minutes. But he was hungry, very impatient. He knocked at the door again. Then lady came with the food. So lady told him, don't look at me like this. I'm not a bird that you can burn me to ashes. He was really taken back. How did she know that I just burnt a bird with my sight? So he asked her, where did you get this insight? She said, my sick husband is inside. I was nursing him. I was taking care of him. And you couldn't even wait. But he said, how did you get this kind of a knowledge to read my mind? Because I was reading. I was thinking like that. She said, go at this particular bazaar in the city. There's a butcher over there. That butcher will teach you how to attain this kind of a wisdom. So in other words, a butcher can do his work as a butcher, but he can be a great yogi. So it's not the action itself. Over here, this lady who was a wife of a sick husband, she was a yogi because she was doing her job serving the husband selflessly. Butcher was doing his job. That's what he was supposed to do, but as a yogi. And here, so-called yogi was sitting in the jungles, but became arrogant because a little power came to him. So these stories, they just bring out underlying message of Bhagavad Gita to us. The actions don't decide who we are. It is the motive behind the action which speaks louder. Okay? So I'm not saying that we should all become butchers, huh? But what I'm saying is whatever we are supposed to do it selflessly. Okay? We could be a doctor or a teacher or we have lawyers also here in our class, nurses, little students. Whatever we are supposed to do it selflessly. Bring more and more selflessness into it. I'm not saying in one day we'll become from selfish to selfless. Just to bring little element of selflessness into our daily. Yes, Jyoti.
Savi has a question. Savita, you have to unmute your
Who does
tablet.
it?
Savita.
Savita or Savitri?
Savitri. Savitri.
Savitri? Okay, she'll have to unmute.
Unmute.
She doesn't know, looks like.
Yeah.
She is not used to this system.
Yeah,
So
I can't
anybody else?
unmute her because she touched it. Okay.
Maybe she doesn't have a question. So anybody else? How about you, Priya? You are smiling. No?
No questions right now.
What time is it?
12:16.
12:16, yeah. So anybody, if you have a question, we can talk about it. Otherwise, we'll just end the class early. And you have a wonderful day tomorrow, Mother's Day. But we'll have a class, Gita class in the morning, 10:30 to 11:30. Okay? Then you can have your Mother's Day brunch or lunch or dinner.
Unmute everybody.
Yeah, unmute everybody. That way some people can just...
Yeah.
Okay.
Those,
Thank
yeah,
you.
those who have. There we go.
Thank you. Thank you, Hershey.
Who has memorized all first five chapters?
Memorize.
Yeah, no, not the verses, but the headings, the titles, like a Vishad Yoga,
Arjun
Sankhya Yoga, Karam Yoga,
Karam Yoga, Gyan Yoga.
Jnana Karam Sanyas
Jnana.
Yoga, and Karam Sanyas Yoga. Okay, so these are all Karam Yoga chapters. So you should know that why Lord Krishna. What is the difference between a Karam Yoga and Karam Sanyas? You're studying this. If somebody asks you, what is the difference? Why, if Lord Krishna talked about Karam Yoga, why did he spend 2 more chapters after that? Dhyan Karam Sanyas and the Karam Sanyas, what is the difference? You should be able to explain. So you can explain only if you study it properly, right? Not just the read, but study, think about it, and contemplate upon it. Okay, so there's a reason. Otherwise, it could happen in just one chapter. The first 6 chapters are predominantly about Karam Yoga. Second 6 chapters are about Bhakti Yoga, predominantly. Okay, and then last 6 chapters are about Gyan Yoga. So these are the 3 main paths. Okay? Even though, just like he said in this chapter, Karam Yogi and a Gyan Yogi, they both reach at the same place. Because the qualities which are in a Karam Yogi will be in a Gyan Yogi also, a Bhakti Yogi also. So end is the same. But some people, they can just devote very easily. They can sit and just merge with God, see God, talk to God day and night. Some people, they just like to reach there with the knowledge. Some people, they are physically very active. They like to do more and more actions. And to me, I think majority of us, we have all these 3, and we can use these all 3 elements which have been given to us See, hands for work, head for knowledge, and heart for devotion. So if we have hands also, we have a head also, and we have a heart also. I would say, bring all the qualities of all these three paths in you, and then progress is faster that way. Because we want to progress. We don't want to have a like a turtle, movement of a turtle. We want to run. Okay. Yeah, Kim is smiling. Kim, what is in your mind?
Just smiling because you said we don't want to move like a turtle.
Yeah, we don't want to move like a turtle.
Like I'm moving like a turtle. Or
I think we have moved
I don't
like
think I'm moving at all. I think I'm stuck in chapter 1. I only have sorrow. I have no knowledge or
No. You have knowledge. You got to have confidence also. Knowledge, and then you are learning. It's not that, right? It's okay. Initially, sometimes initially it doesn't seem like there's a movement. But if we stay on the path, all of a sudden there is a jump.
I mean, it moves forward a little bit and then goes back again for a while and then forward just a little bit.
Yeah, but we got to make sure there is a upward move. See, they say there's a horizontal path, then there's a vertical path. So we got to remember that vertically we got to move up. Horizontally, what happens? We take few steps forward and few backward. Essentially, we are at the same place. Or we move to the left and to the right, and then we say that no change. So we got to remember. Okay? Got to rise up also. And that's where we feel the peace too. Yes, Jonathan.
I had a question that I don't know exactly how to phrase it, but I was wondering about good and evil because it seems to me like in nature, there's no real good or evil. There's just like animals surviving in one way or the other. But for humans, if we do karma yoga, then our inclination is always toward good. If we're trying to live in accordance with God, then you naturally do good things. You're not ever like killing somebody because you're acting according to those principles. But but if you look at like a tiger, then that animal is just going out and hunting everything. So is there something that like what governs what is good or evil?
Okay, see, there is an animal species. They live according to their instincts. Okay, so animals, in order to feed themselves, instinctually they'll kill something. Human beings, they are a different kind of a species. We have been given the higher intellect where we can decide. We have a freedom to choose. They really don't have a freedom to choose. Okay, our scriptures, they talk about, they call the animals and the plants a bhog yoni. Because of their past karmas, they came into that kind of a species. Human beings came as a karam yoni, karam species. We do the actions, we have given the full freedom to do or not to do, or do this or not to do that. And whatever we do, there's a consequence to it. Okay, so the fruit comes because of a certain choice. So we really cannot compare ourselves with the animal kingdom. That animals kill and eat, we should do the same thing. But if we kill and eat, we'll have to pay for it. Because that's a selfish action then. As human beings, if we have a higher intellect, we are supposed to take care of the other species, not just to kill them and eat them, or to destroy them. It's like a higher intellect we have. Okay, so our actions, our whole life is based upon our actions actually. Ordinary people I'm talking about, the actions. Yogi does the actions also, but learns how to not get attached to the actions or the fruit of the action. That's like even higher level. That's why that's called a Karam yogi. And then higher than that is, which we studied last week, try to see God everywhere. And then the highest is, which we learned today, there's a God inside me. And that God is not doing anything. The senses are doing it. So in order to reach to this level, it will definitely take a lot of work, lot of practice. Okay. Even Arjuna, even though Arjuna was a great warrior, Arjuna was a great personality, he was not an ordinary person. If you read rest of the Mahabharata, you will see that he even practiced meditation with the Lord Krishna in the previous lives also. People who are familiar with the other avatars, Nar Narayan avatar, who were those Nar and Narayan? Arjuna and Krishna. Even he got deluded. So it does take a lot of effort to reach where he is taking us. But we got to have the whole diagram in front of us though. Where we are, I want to do my duties without getting frustrated. Because whenever I get frustrated, I don't have a control over my mind. I want to control my mind. Mind should be in my control, not the other way around. Do my duties, then slowly bring more and more actions where I offer it to God. See, that's why the daily routine, getting up in the morning, going to the temple area, before eating something, offering it to God, doing prayers morning and evening, all those little rituals are built in the society, in our daily life, so that we can bring these elements into our life. Slowly, slowly. And pretty soon you see that your whole life is as a yogic way of living. Okay, even when you exercise, think that, hey, it's my duty to take care of this body. Not because I want a healthy body so that I can enjoy. No, it's my duty. Everything is a duty. So when it's motivated by duty, then more selflessness comes. Okay. So otherwise in this universe, you will see that good and bad happening all the time. This is a duality everywhere. But living in the duality, we got to get connected with that one. That's the practice we need to do. Okay? Anybody else?
So,
Yes, Kim.
So if I exercise, sometimes I feel like, oh, now that I exercised, I can eat a cupcake. And the same way when I do the yoga, the rituals, I try to do my prayers, my meditation, and hatha yoga and everything. And if I have a day like that where I'm very good and I eat very moderately and only, twice a day eating, then the next day I say, that took a lot of effort. And today I should just do whatever I want. And then so it's hard to keep the consistency because there's kind of a backlash. If I try to be good for one day, it's not natural to me. I'm not in the habit of it. And then the next day I just want to let go and be free. And then I just fall back again. So how to keep a consistent practice?
Write it down first of all. Writing down really helps. Write it down what you want to do. Okay? And then be practical about it. Sometimes we just become impractical. We want to do something which is not doable for us right now. Okay? So choose the discipline which you can really follow and tell your mind that I will like to follow it for next 7 days or 30 days. If your mind starts to waver, just tell the mind, hey, it's only for 30 days. In 30 days, you'll get used to it. And you will start seeing the benefit of it too. Because it's just like going back and forth, it doesn't help.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And then thinking and telling your mind for the rest of my life, I'm going to do it. Mind doesn't like it.
Yeah.
Mind rebels.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So we got to just be practical about it. And about craving about something which is prohibited, always think that I'm going to offer it to God. Every time I eat, I'm going to offer to God first. Prohibited thing you will not offer to God. Right? It could be a cupcake. Yeah, if I can offer it to my God, I'll eat it too.
Okay.
Right? If somebody is drinking and they think that I just don't want to drink anymore, and I'll tell them that, hey, yeah, just offer it to God. If you can offer your drink to God, then drink it then. But then determination has to be yours, right? So that's how I look at it. Any which way, because ultimately we are all a combination of where we have control, where we don't have control. And if you want to have more and more control, there are ways to do it, and do it in a practical manner. Okay? Nobody is completely like 100% saint and 100% sinner. Nobody. We are all mixture of, I always tell you guys that there are 3 boxers inside us. There's a one taking charge of the other 2. And what are those boxers? Sattvic, Rajasic, and Tamasic. The very pure and very active and very dull, dark. So when the Sattvic is up there, the other 2 are down there. They are not dead. When the Rajasic is up there, the other 2 are down there too. So one has taken a charge. So we all have all these 3 inside us. We got to just make sure that more and more time, it's the purity in our personality. Okay? Make sense?
Hershey, I just want to say something to Kim. Kim, what I do, like for keeping it on a day-to-day, is if I go over the schedule the night before in my mind, that tomorrow this is what I'm going to do, in clockwise, time-wise, whatever. I tend to stick to the plan better when I go over it the night before. So that might help. I don't know.
Yeah.
So one day at a time.
Yeah, one day.
So writing it down does help.
Yes.
Writing it down, because then you are committed.
Yes.
Like you have written it down. Okay, there's a higher level of commitment rather than in the mind that becomes very vague very easily.
Okay.
So write it down. So that's why journaling is very, very important. I always stress that. Journal it. See your progress also. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Thank you.
No, I'm glad. Your questions are always really good. I'm sure they help others also. So 12:33 right now. So if you want to say bye, it's the time. Take care. And Kim, I'll see you soon.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll see you guys soon. And Monica? Monica,
Yeah.
should I bring something?
No.
Nothing? You
Nothing.
sure?
Nothing.
Your dad?
No. Well, yeah, bring him.
I said it's a Mother's Day, so.
No. And I'm building in the fire pit outside. So
Oh, you're building a fire pit. Okay, all right.
Okay, bye, Hersh.
Bye, Mom.
Bye, Rani.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Hershey.
Bye.
Bye.
Happy Mother's Day, Aruna. Oh, I can't hear. Aruna is.
She has to unmute. Everybody.
Aruna, you have to unmute yourself. Yes,
Yeah,
Aruna.
I did that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, happy Mother's Day.
everyone.
Happy Mother's Day, Lily.
Happy Mother's
Happy
Day.
Mother's Day.
Yes.
Sleeping looks like she's.
Happy Mother's Day.
Hershey, my sister just logged
Happy
in from
Mother's Day
London.
to all the mothers.
Oh,
Towards
your
the end of the
sister
class.
just logged in. Okay, I'll write that.
She got the end of it.
I got
Oh,
the end
good.
of
I'm
it.
glad. We got a person from London, person from Ireland,
From Florida.
from Florida. Yeah, see, Lily from Florida.
And Hersh, my sister-in-law, Nath's wife, she wanted to log in.
Oh yeah, give her the, yeah, good. You never know. I mean, even a little bit if they like it, so it's worth it.
Nath called me. I didn't pick up the phone, and then I told her.
Oh, okay.
So she says, "Okay, can I watch?" Maybe you're sure.
Yeah, anybody can watch.
Yeah.
That is the benefit of this
Day.
technology. Yeah.
Have a lovely Mother's Day, everyone.
You too,
Yep.
everyone.
Happy Mother's Day to you
Yeah,
all.
happy Mother's Day to all the wonderful mothers.
Namaskar, Hershji. Happy Mother's
Namaskar,
Day.
namaskar, Niru. Food was great, Niru. I'm gonna
Oh,
eat rest
thank
of
you.
it today.
Oh,
Wow.
it wasn't
Maybe
much.
tomorrow
Yeah.
also. She brought so much food yesterday for me.
Oh, it's
Lucky
okay.
one, huh?
I am, Arna. I wish you were here too. Yeah.
Getting right away.
Pronte also, and kale chole also, and gobi
And
aloo.
Kadi
and-
chawal other day she brought,
Huh?
right? Other day she brought kadi chawal.
Kadi chawal also. No, she's a good cook. She's a really good cook. Yeah.
So I have to come to Chicago.
Yeah, you got to come and, yeah, right. Arna,
Yeah.
these days you can come and just to stay indoor with me.
Come and hang out.
I'm an indoor person. I am an
Yeah,
indoor person.
Arna is an indoor person. That's right. Arna is, yeah. See, you don't see, I have other brothers, sisters too. We have not seen them on. Right,
No,
Arna?
Yeah.
she, Aruna Didi has been consistently on, so that's
yeah.
good.
Yeah, Arna,
I
Arna-
love to see her. I love to see you all.
There is a connection between the two of you, a deeper one, because you end up
Yeah,
in same
today
colors
also,
almost
like I
every
picked
day.
up the white one. I said I will wear white one. When I was flipping through the hangers, and white one was gone somewhere.
Yeah,
Then this was on the corner, so I picked up that.
Oh.
So, Jyoti, what is your sister's name?
Shilpa. I think
Shilpa.
she left. She left.
Oh, she
Because
left.
We kept
Okay.
saying, yeah, we kept saying bye to everybody, but she left.
Okay, that Savitri is still there. That's good.
Yeah, she wanted, it looks like she wanted to say something. She doesn't know how to unmute.
Oh, really? Arna,
Oh,
Savitri is, I don't know whether you met her or not. She's a retired gynecologist from India. She
Okay.
lives with her daughter over here, but she's been coming to the ashram for a few years now,
Mm-hmm.
going through some health issues right now.
Mm-hmm.
She got a cancer, but dealing with this whole thing very bravely.
Mm-hmm.
Still coming to the classes.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, yesterday I saw her. Yeah,
Yeah.
she could log in. Yeah.
yeah. Last year we celebrated her
Yeah.
birthday at the ashram with a havan.
Okay.
She turned 80, and then she said, "This is the first time my birthday got celebrated." So
Yes, yes. And her sister from
her sister
Michigan
came
brought
also.
her down.
Yeah.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it was really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, through the ashram we get to meet so many nice people.
Like-minded people.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Because I think in Kali Yuga you cannot have masses liking this kind of a talk.
Yeah.
You cannot. Most of the
No.
people they really don't have this kind of a discipline or attention span.
Yeah.
Or to even think
Yeah.
about something like this. So we have been given the
That's great.
opportunity
Yep. Yep.
day after
And
day.
we-
We can just
We are so blessed to have you, Hershji.
no. At least the time
Yeah,
we study, we are not doing anything
Yeah.
else, right?
Right, right.
At least for this
Exactly.
a block of time,
Yeah.
we are thinking about
See,
higher.
her Poonam told me after that she is going to order Bhagavad Gita for Arjun. I said, okay.
Good, good. See, this is
Maybe
that's
send her that link, the one that you're reading right now. Send her that one. Send her
which
that
one?
picture.
Oh,
Or,
this
or
one?
send her the
This
name
one.
of it.
Arna,
Yeah.
this one is tell her by
Mhm.
Rupa Pai. This is the one for the kids. It's really good,
Okay.
nicely written. I like it.
Okay.
Mm.
Just
Yeah, it's-
send me WhatsApp me the name of this book.
Okay.
Amazon, she can get it ordered it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Then she can
I'll
order it
send
on
you. I'll
Amazon.
send you. Yeah. Okay.
The author's name and
It's a small one. Also, kids can
Mhm.
read it. Like
Mhm.
Nikhil read this, I think 2 or 3 years ago, and he really
Oh.
likes this. Every time I would go there, he would say that, Nini, can we read it together?
Now, Poonam
Aw,
used to teach in
nice.
Detroit Hindu temple,
Uh-huh.
Dharma.
Uh-huh. Good.
So
Good. Are there temples over there also, Ireland?
there are.
There are? Okay. All right.
But I think far away from where she lives.
Uh-huh.
And she doesn't have car over there. One car that Ramin goes to the office.
Acha, acha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, the lanes are